You're listening to a Benstown and McVeigh Media Podcast Network production. Run It Again is an inside look at the players, the coaches, and the business of sports with former NFL star and broadcaster Ron Pitts.
And 2 minutes later, I was back in the same Oklahoma drill that I got the concussion from.
And the mastermind behind the greatest show on turf, Coach Mike Martz.
And we want to force him into a vanilla defense and go to work.
Run It Again is a hard-hitting, no BS podcast that connects you directly to the source. This is Run It Again.
Well, playoff time. Wow, we're finally here. I got to tell you, Mike, 18-week season, I'm starting to feel it. I don't know about you. This is, man, I can't imagine how the players feel.
Right. Normally season's over with right now. And, you know, it's all laid out. And I think the other thing, I was thinking about this, looking at the Cooper Cup record.
Yeah.
All the stats now for the NFL have got to be asterisked or the old ones set aside because of the longevity. No, because the season's so long. So anything under 17 weeks as opposed to 16 weeks, how do you compare? You know, it's just, there's so many reasons not to do it. I just wish they'd go back to 16 games. I just don't like this at all.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about that the other day on our show out here, my TV show that I do for Fox. And someone brought that up. And, you know, you don't want to taint anyone's record, right? You don't ever want to do that. And that's not what we're discussing. But that is a valid point. You know, it's like whenever someone talks to me about, like on the Monday night game, they were talking about Watt, okay, TJ Watt, and his sack record, and coming up on Michael Strahan's sack record. And what I'm thinking, you know, one of the greatest sack artists of all time, very few people talk about, Deacon Jones.
Yeah. Right.
Deacon Jones to this day holds the sack record, the Rams sack record. I mean, these guys had tons of sacks that no one ever counted because sacks didn't become an official number until 82.
Right. They didn't keep track, but he was way out there with sacks. Yeah. I mean,
Jeez. Yeah, I'm going to throw some names out at you here. Remember Tommy Hart and Cedric Hardman?
Oh, yeah.
For the San Francisco 49ers?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I can remember my father, when he was coaching with the Rams, they were preparing for the play the 49ers. And I remember he was stressing one day. I was like, Dad, what's the problem? These guys, their record isn't very good. You know, they had a couple people. They had Brody, John Brody, the quarterback. They had Gene Washington. Yeah, and a couple other, Jimmy Johnson, the corner, number 37, who in history just refuses to recognize him, one of the greatest corners that ever played. They had some heat back there. But he said, son, Tommy Hart and Cedric Hardman, he used to call him Sir Cedric. These guys can't be stopped. I was like, what?
So I remember Cedric Hardman. I remember watching him. He was a one-man wrecking crew, you know. It was yeah.
What did he have? You would remember more than I from a technical standpoint. What was it about him?
He was relentless, which the great ones are, but he could drop his shoulder and get around the corner.
Oh, he could dip.
You know, yeah, he can dip.
Yeah.
And that's, you either do that or, you know, you have to have great ankle flexion. And he was just a violent player, you know, but he could drop that shoulder and get around the corner, long reach. He was very destructive. You know, a little bit like the player that I really like to watch right now that's just really raw is number 54 for the Rams. I just keep forgetting his name, but
Leonard Floyd. Yeah, you
Leonard
brought
Floyd.
This up.
He is.
Yeah, right.
He has all the makings of being just a terrific pass rusher. He's just out of control right now. When he learns the things that, you know, those guys didn't learn over the years, you know, the technique part of it, he's going to be a great one.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Now, and we're going to talk about him on the show because you brought that up a couple of times. You know, he's 6'6".
Yeah.
250 plus.
Yes.
Okay, because his college numbers coming out of Georgia, by the way, be playing for the national championship. Georgia, Alabama should be good. His college numbers were 6'6", 250. So I know he's put on some weight.
I'm sure he has.
Weight.
And
Yeah.
he's just so out of control, but he's such a violent player, and he's so athletic that I think that as time goes on here in the next year or two, he has to refine some of that skill and
Yeah.
play smarter, but
Yeah.
I think it's just like one of those plays last night with Baker Mayfield. The defenseman backed out and blocked the ball. He knew the down and distance where the ball was going to go, right?
Right.
Watt took 2 steps into the pass rush. They always throw a quick out if it's 3rd and 3 or 2. So he backpedaled out and stood there and watched him, and he threw the ball and he batted the ball down. I mean,
yeah.
it's just guys that he studied, he knows, he just they know intimately all the details about what you do offensively, and that takes time to develop, to study that, and what to look at, and what's really important, what isn't. All the little details of playing the game.
Yeah. All right. Well, since we're on that game, let's talk about, obviously the moment of that game, and moments were surrounding Ben Roethlisberger and his final home game there in Pittsburgh. It's funny because Ben has been a guy who's that's been a love-hate relationship there. I know the snapshot was that, oh boy, it's a love fest here for Ben, and the crying towels were out. But I remember a time when it wasn't. And there was some separation there, and people wanted Ben out of there, even though he's brought in some Super Bowls. So,
I think
it was a different moment.
He went through a run there because in his younger days, he liked to hold the ball so much. He didn't realize, and he could, because he could shake guys free and run and all that stuff. But he'd hold the ball so much, they had to tailor the whole offense towards that. And I think at one point, he just had a lot of turnovers, and they were kind of upset with him there, and they changed coordinators, and they went through kind of a turmoil there, maybe 7 years ago, or whatever it was. But, he's had such a good run there. He comes out of college, and his rookie season, they win the Super Bowl. I mean, he went to a great team. They were a great team waiting for a quarterback.
Yeah.
And they got him. So he's had a great run there, and he probably should have retired last year, but he's done now, and he'll be in the Hall of Fame eventually. So, but Baker Mayfield on the other side, we talked about this a while ago. And I felt strongly about it at the time. I did a radio interview back there with Cleveland, and they asked me about him, and I said they need to get the surgery now and send him out, and whoever their backup is, you're going to play with him, and that's it.
And they didn't do that.
No, because he's not going to play good, and he didn't. A healthy Baker Mayfield's really a good player. Yeah. Is he a great player? No, I don't think so, but he's good enough to win a Super Bowl with. Is he going to command one of those extra dollar salaries? No. But he'll make enough, but he's got to understand that too. And there's so much more involved with those contracts of those guys at that age. It means a lot more to stay where they like you and want you than go someplace else for $1. A lot of guys make that mistake. And you've seen that as a player, Ron. Guys have a great couple of years. They're attached to that organization, and they jump out of it. They don't know you. We talked about this last week. They don't know you. The locker room doesn't know you. You come in there making all that money, and you just got to start all over, more or less, and it's, I just don't see him leaving there. I don't think he should leave there, but we'll see.
So is Rudolph the guy, or do they need to go get someone else to back up Ben or to replace Ben?
No, I don't think he's the guy. I think they have to get somebody in the draft, but it's hard to say because you haven't really seen much of him, but he's never been a particularly impressive quarterback to me.
Off the top of my head, I'm just going to throw a name out there just because he seems to be ready to pack up the U-Haul and head out. Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I think that would be a logical deal. I think that would be a good move for Russell to go there because they're a good team waiting for a good quarterback right now. And I think Russell needs a change.
And I think Russell needs to get out. Yeah.
He needs to get out of there. They've run through the whole gamut. They've bent over backwards to do the things that he wanted them to do. And he's just not playing good there. He just isn't. Yeah. And there's probably a lot of good reasons for it. He's not the same athlete he used to be. He doesn't have the same foot speed and whatnot, but he's still a good player, Yeah. And how much time does he have left? I just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll monitor that situation. Of course, everyone's going to say the right thing right now, but when when the season ends and people part and salary caps get counted, that could all change. Some of the other games, Mike. So Green Bay has locked up home field in the NFC conference, home field throughout. That's big. It's big not only just for weather reasons, and I've always said weather's not going to buy you any championships. You're going to have to actually win the games.
But I will tell you this: of all the places to play, that's the hardest. That's the hardest, to go up there in the winter and play there with their fans, and just the intimidation, just the whole thing. Vince Lombardi, the tundra, it's just hard. You go up there and it's hard for anybody to go in there and beat them in the playoffs. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah. No, I you know my story of the frozen mouthpiece.
Yeah.
We played Detroit one year and it came out and it was 3 degrees, -10 wind chill. At that time, it was the second coldest game in Packer history. And I went to put in my mouthpiece and damn near broke a tooth. My mouthpiece had frozen. Yeah. And those mouthpieces are made out of industrial plastic or whatever. They don't. I didn't think they froze, but it froze. Hey, I thought of you too, because someone's jacket started on fire in Cincinnati.
Yeah,
one of the Kansas City guys.
Yeah,
and the down feathers were floating all over.
Yeah, they're all over.
That's great. Yeah, you had one of those jacket on fire stories.
Yeah, somewhere. David Lang was a running back for the Rams. We went up there; it was 2 degrees.
Yeah,
and he'd return a punt. It was really good. He goes and sits out. We go 1, 2, 3. In the next years, they go 3 and out, and they punt to us, and we get the ball on the 20-yard line. And he's over there when the defense is on. He's got his feet up in the air, and it catches fire. And he's running, and I'm up in the box, and I see him sprinting all over the field on that. I said, what the heck's wrong with David Lang? They tackle him. They put his feet out. But he was our tailback. We didn't have another tailback. So he had to go in, and his shoes were smoking in the huddle. You got to see it. They're smoking in the huddle. He lines up, and he runs 79 yards to the 1-yard line on a pitch. And to this day, they've got his shoes in the locker room with the Rams with the David Lang hot foot,
Oh, man.
That was just too funny to be true. It was hysterical.
Did you guys win the game?
No, we did. We got down the 1-yard line, and we went for it on 4th down, and they shut us. We couldn't get in from the 1. No,
couldn't get in. Yeah. What was the temperature?
2 degrees at that time.
You said 2?
At that time, it was the coldest regular season game in Packer history.
Yeah, that's right. Right, they were going regular season, postseason.
That's when I told you I came out on the 50-yard. Because I'd been in Minnesota and South Dakota and grew up there and all that stuff. And guys are putting the double whammy jammies on, and fighting over extra, heating gloves and all that stuff. And so it's no big deal. So I put my everything on. I go out and I get out to the 50-yard line, and I just felt like my face was going to fall off. Yeah. My ears hurt so bad. I turned around, sprinted back inside, and got stocky again. I said, and I'm seeing everybody I never did this, put Vaseline on their face. So you put Vaseline on your nose and your lips and all that stuff.
Put it all over your body, man. Yeah.
Anyway, that is an advantage to the Packers.
It's a mental thing. I mean, we came out sleeveless trying to intimidate the other team, and that works as long as you're winning. When you start losing, we came in after pregame warm-up. We went out, sleeveless, and came back in. It was freaking cold, and I was hoping someone said, "Can we put some sleeves on?" Because no one did. So you don't want to be that guy. So
I wouldn't have any problem doing that.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
but a team like the Buccaneers to go up there and play, or one of those teams with warm weather teams,
right?
It's a hard.
Right.
Buffalo goes over and plays New England. It's no big deal, but. You get a NFC team like, the Bucs to go up there and play. It's going to be hard on them.
I remember Leroy Butler came up. This was like his second year, rookie year. He came up to me like a little mouse in the locker room there before we get ready to go out for the game. And he said, "Man, can we please put some sleeves on?" He didn't want everyone else to hear. I said, "No, Leroy. This is the tundra. We got ghosts running around here, man. We've got legends. We're going out, brother, with sleeves. Let's go." So anyway, needless to say, we got our ass kicked too. How about that? All right. Anyway, a team I'm trying to figure out.
Cowboys, I bet.
Well, no, I've already figured the Cowboys out, and I figured the Raiders out. Let me tell you what I figured out about these guys. Let's start with the Cowboys. The Cowboys are that type of team where boy, just when you think they're ready to go, roaring to go, they pull one of these numbers like they pulled last week here. Get beat at home by Arizona, who just lost 3 in a row. And I know Arizona was desperate and all that, but there's no way you're supposed to drop that game. And they drop it. So see, that worries me. If you're a Cowboy fan out there, you keep 2 hands on your wallet right now, because that worries me going into the playoffs.
Ron, I think there's something going on down there. Defensively, they fixed it. Defensively, they're really good. That used to be the reason. That used to be the reason why they would lose. But there's something going on now with the quarterback. There's something wrong with him physically, and they're hiding it or something. But he just never misses, and he's not balanced. He just doesn't look smooth when he's throwing the ball. He misses throws he should never miss. And I'm not so sure that there isn't something with him in his feet, or we just don't know, because he's not. He doesn't look comfortable. He's not. You see him on the sideline. He's got that worried frown on, and it's just he's playing with something, and it's affecting his play. It's just the way I feel when I look at him. And early he's going to be good, and then as the game goes on, he looks like he's struggling physically.
Now, you brought up a point last week, and I watched it carefully, and I saw it during the game. It was a couple weeks ago. The first quarter, I think it was Washington. It was a Washington game. I think it was a Sunday night game last Sunday. And the first quarter, the first drive for the Cowboys was horrific. I mean, it looked terrible, Mike.
Yeah.
And then the second drive was completely different. They went into a up tempo and they started clicking. And I go back to something you said. You think that maybe McCarthy has taken over some of the, or not all of the play calling.
There's just not the same rhythm in the play calling that they used to have. And they used to be more aggressive, and that's who he is. I don't know that he's happy with what they're doing either, Dak, I'm talking about. So they just let him go, and he's used to that. And right now they put a lid on him to some extent. And because they go the whole game and those receivers don't get the ball. It's just, there's something going on there that just isn't right. He doesn't look right physically to me. And just they're really conservative early, and then they kind of let him play when things kind of are falling apart a little bit. They got to score some points. If I'm them, I don't care how the backs feel. You got to get them the ball and all that sort of thing. But you go out and score a lot of points and then run the ball in the second half. That's what I'd do. Get a lot of points on the board because they're capable of coming out and just going bam, 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 touchdown. And then get a lead in the second half. You put them away, run the ball. That's what we used to do. And in fact, that's what Norv did with the Cowboys when they were winning Super Bowl.
Norv Turner, the offensive coordinator there. Yeah. Okay, so it's something that's going on with the head coach and OC. And now I hear the OC's name rumored as a head coach, which doesn't surprise me. So we're going to watch this real carefully, because there's definitely some. And so I don't like them the same way I used to like them, just because of that. Like I said, this isn't the time to go into the season up and down. And so, and remember, folks, now, there was a rift up in Green Bay with McCarthy and Rodgers that developed. Even though they won a Super Bowl, there's something that went on there.
And it was play calling. Rodgers did not like the conservative nature of what they were doing, and he let it be known. He put up with it for a while, and then it did cause a rift, and it cost the coach's job.
So maybe that's carrying over here. I don't know.
Could be. I know he's a lot more conservative than the coordinator, and and there's good news to that too, because generally, if you're really good and you're somewhat conservative, you usually win games that way, But you get all that talent outside, and you're just kind of sitting on to some extent.
Right. Well, they've won the division. Okay, so they're in the playoffs. They haven't locked up home field. Obviously, that's Green Bay. So no matter what they do, they're going to have to travel somewhere. But now the fight is for this number 2 seed, and that could be important. I think coming down the stretch, because eventually everyone's got to go through Green Bay. But teams like the Rams. Now the Rams are a solid team, but again, Mike, and you know what I'm going to hit you with, this quarterback has got to straighten up and fly right with these interceptions.
Well, I'm trying to like him until this game.
I am too.
I saw the two interceptions he threw. I was shaking my head. I mean, he just predetermined. He just jammed the ball into that receiver, and the deep ball he threw that got picked off. My gosh, there were 3 guys on the receiver. And the crossing route that he should have thrown, nobody covered the guy.
Nobody covered the guy.
And I know what the read is, and I know what the play is. We used to run it a lot. But the ball should have gone underneath on the crossing route. He predetermined it. He's going to make a big play with his arm. And, that's a Gus Frerotte thing. Gus used to do that all the time. That's what got him out of the league eventually. But you couldn't break him of it. The discipline of playing that position, you have to learn at an early age. It's very difficult for older guys if they've not played with discipline, and staying with the reads and getting the ball out to the right guy, and instead of predetermined things and trying to take shots on your own and all that stuff. It sounds like it shouldn't happen, but it happens all the time. Some quarterbacks play with a great deal of freedom as they come in the league, and it doesn't serve them well because in big games, they make big mistakes. Cutler was that way too.
Jay Cutler. Yeah, that's right. I remember that NFC Championship game against Green Bay. They got to him, and as they say, the guy that can ruin the game faster than anyone on the field, even the head coach, is the quarterback. And you're starting
of course,
to see that.
Yeah, no question. In Stafford, I read today somewhere that they were going to sit down with them and get rid of those things.
You can't.
Like you said, Ron, he's got that Detroit in him. I don't know if they can get it out of him. That's just not his nature. He's not a disciplined player at that position. I don't know if he ever will be.
Here's an interesting point. When you talk about the Detroit in him, could it be, Mike, that he's had to come from behind so much and is so used to playing where it's the middle of the third quarter, late third quarter, early fourth quarter, and they're behind a ton of points, and now it's just gunsling time. Could it be, because they keep talking about the final drive. Oh, man, he got it all together, final drive. Looks great then. But that's what he had to play in. That's the wheelhouse that he's most comfortable in, coming from behind.
Well, I think, Ron, 90% of the time, he's really a good player.
He is.
And I think that final drive, and you just don't know. And I've always said this about the guy. He's got 2 ugly plays in him every week.
You are dead on. It is.
And those plays hopefully don't beat you. The rest of the time, he's great. He does a good job. If he can get rid of that ugliness and it's just discipline, it's just decision making that he knows better. And I don't know how you get that out of him other than a 2x4 or baseball bat. I don't know.
Four pick sixes.
Yeah.
That's the most in the NFL right now. He's got more pick sixes in one season than Jared Goff had in his career.
Yeah.
Now, how's that one for people that are on the Rams Goff versus Stafford fence? So they'll have fun with that one. But
here's the deal with the Rams. Here's the deal. If he plays like he did a couple weeks ago when he had that magnificent performance, if he'll play like he's capable of playing, it incites the whole team. The defense, everybody all of a sudden jumps up. And they play at a totally different level. And it affects the psyche of the team when he comes out in the first series and throws a pick.
Well, Mike, I don't know a team I've ever played on when that didn't affect us as much as you try. Of course it does.
But you trust a good player that they're going to come back and,
Yeah.
But to do that in the first half of the game, a fumble and 2 picks and just dumb stuff that, you just can't trust him. I just don't trust him at all.
Yeah. Now, Rams got to get something fixed in their secondary, and we've been tracking this for a while. Jalen Ramsey and Taylor Rapp have gone at it before. And there's a
What's that about? What was that about? In that
it stems back to something that even happened 2 years ago when they went up to San Francisco and got beat. I want to say it was a Thursday or Monday nighter. And there was a miscommunication late in the game, and it cost a big throw down the middle of the field and the game for the Rams. But there's a miscommunication, Mike. This happened in the Green Bay game earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Remember they started moving Devontae Adams around, because they want
Right.
to see how the Rams are going to match. Well, the Rams kept blowing the motion adjustment or miscommunicating it. And Ramsey, again, it was almost a carbon copy, different team. Pre-snap, he's gesturing to Rapp like, no, I don't want to run this, or I don't want to do something. And Rapp obviously is trying to run what they practiced. So they're caught in this wasteland, in this middle land. And then it just went to the level it couldn't go to. Ramsey overheated and threw a punch at him in the huddle. Let me finish this. Here's what I didn't understand about that. I saw the referee stop the game. I've never seen that. The clock's running, time is going. The Rams didn't call a timeout. The officials stopped the game so they could clear out their stuff together, and then they started back up. He can't do that. What's that about? Yeah. I mean, if I'm Baltimore, I'm pissed. I'm like, what are you stopping the game for? You can't stop the game so they can get their internal problems. It doesn't work like that.
Wouldn't it have been funny if you threw a flag on a guy for hitting your own player?
Yeah, because if you go, I mean, it's 15-yard, unsportsmanlike conduct.
On yourself, yeah.
It's just, and now I've been through that. Like, I've been through that on teams. I know what that's like. I've seen guys. We know the stories of Charles Haley, right?
Yeah.
He would split helmets and just tear up locker rooms because he was that type of guy. And it went on. Okay. I remember Brian Cox walking off the field in Buffalo. He lost it. Very similar to, Antonio Brown the other day, losing it. But
so since you bring that up, what happened down there? A lot has been said that he refused to go in because he was injured, and they said, well, if you're not going to, then you're done, or something like that. What do you think happened down there?
I think it's a carryover of something that's happened a couple times. I don't think that was an isolated incident for the Buccaneers. We know Antonio's had issues. We know that. But I'm talking about for the Buccaneers. See, people don't always know the stuff that goes on in the facility.
Yeah.
I'm sure this isn't because the way that Arians acted and everyone's like, okay, that's it. Last straw kind of deal. And I hope he gets the help he needs. And I hope that.
So Ron, in the locker room, have you ever been around anybody in the league as a player that did have problems, that was struggling to cope with some of that stuff?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Did the club help them, or did you get help, or?
Well, Mike, it was a different era. At that time, there wasn't all of this NFL social awareness campaign stuff going on. Like if you watch the pregame shows this past week, there were features on the shows where, the NFL is pushing, right. Hey, we care. We are here. Our culture now is, come on, tell us your problems. Let us put our arm around you. Because it's a reflection of what society is doing. And I think I commend them for that.
The only problem with that, Ron, is if you turn a player into the league as needing, psychiatric help or some health issues, then they punish you by putting them. It's like substance abuse.
Oh,
he has to miss a certain amount of time and all that stuff. So I'm going to share with you something. As a head coach here, as a head coach, you have awareness of everything on your staff, the players, everything going on in their personal lives. And it just happens, and I was aware of, I had 2 players over the years that were suicidal, that were very suicidal. And I couldn't go to the league because they're good players. And I was afraid if that happened, they put them out and then they just blow up. Both players were like that. So I got I knew a psychiatrist that was a good friend of mine, and we handled this behind the scenes without the league knowing about it. And he was with them and dealt with that throughout the entire season with these guys in completely different situations in different year. But, and nobody would know about that. And I've had other guys that were dealing with things too, that you get them that kind of help, but you can't go to the league because of the ramifications of that is they're going to miss time.
Oh, they
at least that's the way it
absolutely
used to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then they have basically it's a strike. So you get punished. There's a strike against you. And I never understood that. Maybe that's changed now. I don't know. But
Yeah.
if it's like testing positive, basically is what it is. And at least it used to be that way.
Yeah, no, and to a degree, I think that's accurate, and it's still like that. But yeah, there's always been guys on every team I've been that were on that edge that everyone knew, and everyone the locker room dealt with it, Mike.
Yeah.
The locker room dealt with it, but now you can't keep certain secrets in the locker room. It just doesn't work like that anymore. So, and that takes me to the bigger picture of the team. So if Brown is gone, they've lost Godwin. I'm talking about the Buccaneers, obviously. They've lost Godwin, and Mike Evans is sometimey to me. Mike Evans is sometimey. I like Mike, but he's sometimey. I don't know what it is, and a couple other young players there, but it just seems like this whole thing now is resting on the guy who it's always rested on, and that's Tom Brady.
Well, he had some receivers that haven't played before, catching touchdowns and running by guys, and they don't know any better. They just play as fast as they can, and they're competing for a job, and it's a different psyche than an old vet that's been there a lot of years and playing to get in the playoffs. These guys are trying to make it, and that kind of enthusiasm is kind of refreshing. The two young receivers that they had in there made some big plays for them.
This is going to be interesting. They're still rolling now in the conference, talking about the Buccaneers, and they've won their division. That division wasn't very good, and it was up and down. So
I still think, Ron, and I said since the early of the season, and I'm not trying to sound my own horn here, but I don't know how anybody's going to beat Green Bay. They're just such a good football team, and he's ridiculous. And I know Tom is going to be the best player ever and all that, but nobody throws the football like Aaron Rodgers can throw it,
especially in that cold.
And I heard last night on the Monday something about the Cincinnati, Burrow and the receiver and best combination. Yeah, best combination in the league, and that was a mouthful. When you think about Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams,
I don't know who said that, but
well, you know who it was. It was.
Okay.
Yeah, you know who it was. That's the worst crew in the history of broadcasting. That Monday Night Crew. And they all sound alike, so you don't really know who to get mad at. All three of them their voices sound like, so you know who's saying it. But I think this was the quarterback that said that. But they just throw that stuff out there. But anyway, the reason I say this is I think they get their line back now and the big back, and they get their regular back. So they get a 1-2 punch with the running backs. And the only thing that can hurt them, and I've noticed this, when they play really, really good teams, they're very conservative in the first series, and they usually go 3 and out.
Talking about the Packers.
Yes, and then they kind of get going and he turns them loose, so to speak, how he calls plays.
Yeah.
Very conservative early, and then they say, okay, let's go play.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit like what the Rams lack to me. The Rams, we've always said this about the head coach there. They do not play 2-minute offense. They just don't do it. They just don't have that whole, they want to be able to bail and roll out and deep drop. And they just don't have that 4 wide receiver shotgun kind of mentality where they just come back and just go down the field with it.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen them do it. I've never seen them in a real live 2-minute offense.
Who would be a team? We're going to jump to the AFC in a minute, but who would be a team? Well, let me just throw these teams out there and then you can run with them. Let's start here. Philadelphia.
No, I don't. I just don't see Philadelphia going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah,
nope.
They're making a splash now, but I think it's just when they go up against the big boys.
Dallas will beat them this week, by the way.
Yeah.
Dallas will beat them this week.
They're 9-7, and they've clinched a playoff berth. So good, good for them. I mean, that's an achievement, especially for a team that was up and down and made a midseason trade there, losing Ertz and a couple other things. So, good for them. And they'll plug along, but I don't see it. Next team now that I won't be on their bandwagon because I don't think the coach is there, and I don't think they have enough. But they pulled out a desperation win, and we talked about it. Arizona. So Arizona's in along with the Rams, but no one has claimed the division yet. But Arizona finally stopped the bleeding after dropping 3 at the wrong time of the year in December.
And they go and play the Cowboys, and they don't play particularly well, but the Cowboys play worse. The
Cowboys play worse.
When you look at, I saw this article about the head coach, Kingsbury. His whole career at Texas Tech, his whole career in the league, the second half is well under 500. Second half of the season, first half of the season is up there, and then the second half is just the complete opposite. And if you look at his record, I wish I'd saved that because I looked at it and I was astonished by it. To the point of being like 5-2 the first part, and then 2-4 or 2-5 the second part, that kind of thing. So there's something there, and they don't change. They just do what they do. And with that quarterback, the league has kind of figured out basically how to contain him. Like we talked about, push up inside, just squeeze the pocket, don't let him outside.
That's right.
All of his really big plays come ad lib on the outside, and once you eliminate that, and they're starting to run the football again a little bit, but he's a very impatient play caller right now. They were really rushing the ball well against the Cowboys, and then they just left it.
You look back on that game, there's still no reason
for the Cowboys
to lose that game at home. Just with one guy alone, the way Micah Parsons alone is playing. Right. I could just set Micah Parsons in the middle and say, go chase Kyler Murray around. I don't know, when people have given you the blueprint on how to beat this team, they come into you in your place with a 3-game losing streak and you let them off the hook.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to me. I don't know.
And really matched up so well against them because the passing game for the Cowboys just disappeared, though. The quarterback just didn't play well.
Yeah. Well, so you unleashed something there we're going to have to keep a close eye on. So Arizona has a real good chance of finishing out the season, with 2 wins, but I don't think it's going to matter because they've got Seattle at home, by the way, this week, but I don't think the Rams are going to lose to San Francisco, even though San Francisco has their number.
I do. I think San Francisco, if they get Garoppolo back, I do think that San Francisco beats the Rams again. I really do.
Oh man, Mike, do you know how many times that would be for the Rams losing to that? That would be Kyle Shanahan is 6-3 versus McVay's Rams.
Right.
And the 49ers have beaten the Rams 5 straight. And in Garoppolo, there's only one team he can consistently beat in the NFL, and it's the Rams. He's 5-0 as a starter.
But I think what they do, look at the last time they played, and they just rushed the football.
Yeah.
And it's converted third downs. They're very, very conservative. They didn't let the Ram offense on the field.
Yeah.
They got
that's right.
They went down and got either 3 points or a touchdown, 7, 8, 9 minute drives. And they have the keys on how to beat them. And they're really, but we've said this before, offensively, McVay doesn't change much, in what they do. It's still kind of, the protections never really change a whole lot. And in what they do, they're going to be those deep balls, and then they're going to be option routes inside, to Cooper Kupp and let him go. But I think they do a great job in San Francisco. They take a lot of that stuff away. I think it'll be a really hard game for the Rams to win. I really do.
Oh man. So,
but now, I want them to win. I want them to win. But I tell you, San Francisco coming down the stretch here has really played very well.
Yeah. They have, and took care of that pesky Houston team that had been rolling a little bit and shipwrecking people. Beat them at home last week. Okay, so San Francisco, they're kind of out of, they're in the in the playoff picture, but they're behind the Rams and Arizona. So now, if Arizona wins, they'll go to 12-5, and the Rams lose, they'll go to 12-5. There'd be a tie, and tiebreaker rules say we start with common opponent head to head, then go to division, and then it's common opponents in the conference. So what do you think will happen here? What's your feeling?
I think Arizona probably end up on top, wouldn't they, with the way the record's been? But I do think the Rams get beat. I really do. And who does Arizona have in the last game?
They've got Seattle.
Yeah, that'll be. Where is it? Is it up at Seattle?
It's down here. See, right now, Arizona has the better divisional record. They're 4-1. The Rams are 3-2.
Yeah, I think Arizona's on top. But
so
that won't be an easy game for Arizona because they all of a sudden Seattle has found themselves in Penny, who rushed for another 130 yards this last week. So I think we'll see. But I just wouldn't write that one up yet. That'll be a hard game for Arizona to win.
No, that's an interesting deal. And you would think now the Rams would be so fired up, this close, they'd find a way to exercise this demon. But like you say, Mike, San Francisco's got something on them that they can't fix.
Yeah, they play so well against them, and they're really patient, and they stay with their plan, and it's been very effective. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see them come down and beat the Rams.
Yeah. So head to head, they would tie. Talking Arizona Rams one more time, just so I don't confuse people. Head to head, they're tied up. Okay. Division, if they end up in a tie, the Cardinals have the division record. They've got a better division record. So they would, in a tie situation, Arizona would win the NFC West.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
And it would just affect seeding, but that's about it. But so we'll watch that one. Mike, let's go to this here. We'll hit AFC. So AFC has been a log jam of like 8 and 9 or 7 win teams for a long time. Seemed like everybody had either 8 or 7 or 8, going back and forth. So Buffalo and New England has slipped. Buffalo and New England now, they're in the playoffs, but they're both locked up at 10-6. There's another potential tiebreaker situation. Buffalo with a division record of 4-1, and New England a game behind at 3-2. So in a tie situation, if you go to the next tiebreaker division, Buffalo would win out.
Right.
So,
and the team that's kind of interesting to me that just won't go away is Tennessee. I don't know how they're doing it, but
I don't either. They came back all of a sudden.
They just have been very patient with the running game, and the backs have come along, and they look like they did before he got hurt. And I guess he's coming back. Evidently, he can be back for the playoffs.
Henry,
he's starting to practice this week, I guess, lightly, and they may have him if they go ways in the playoffs. They might get him back.
Well, Buffalo has the edge on this one, folks, because they've got the Jets coming in now. No disrespect to any NFL team, you can get beat on any given Sunday.
Stop right there. Don't go any further.
Okay,
we have to talk about this. The Jets with a minute 50 left to go are up by a touchdown.
Oh, that was bad. Yeah,
they're down at about the 5 or 6 yard line, wherever it is. 4th and 2. How long did it take them to come up with a quarterback sneak as an idea to get the first down? It just, I looked at that and I said, what are you doing? Now, you're going to give the best quarterback in 2 minutes in the history of football, a minute 50 to go.
No timeouts.
And that's just a foregone conclusion. He's going to do it. That's what he does.
That's right.
I looked at that and I looked at my wife, Julie. I said, I can't believe they just did that.
Yeah.
Would they come? I mean, that's the best you got, a quarterback sneak for 2 yards and 4th and 2. Really?
Well, the story coming out of New York is that the wrong play was sent in and miscommunicated in the huddle.
That's the Jets. That's why the Jets are the Jets right there.
Yeah. So they sent in one play, but it got screwed up. And boy, I was thinking, if anything, I like the flip 90 play real quick there. Anything. I
don't care. They could have done anything. They could have done the Bummerooski. I mean, I don't care. But a quarterback sneak to try to get 2 yards in the goal line down there just didn't make any sense at all.
No, the Jets. So
I had to bring that up, but it's just of everything I saw over the weekend in football, that one was topped everything.
So that's who Buffalo has coming in at 4-12 and a win, and they most likely win the division.
Yeah.
And New England, they've got to go to Miami, and that's not good. That's going to be a hard trip. And all of a sudden, the young quarterback's looking a little more like a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is to some extent, but the Tennessee. Let me go back to Tennessee for just a second.
Yeah.
As long as they keep pace with the opponent, they're within a touchdown, they're going to win the game. When they get behind, if they get behind, 14 or more points, they just don't have that catch-up ability. Quarterback's just not good enough.
Oh, well, Tennessee and Tannehill.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Don't they get one of the receivers back this week?
I don't know.
I think they do.
Yeah,
I think
they
get
might.
one of
Yeah.
They're missing a receiver and the running back, but they've been winning anyway. So, obviously they're playing great defense.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Mike. Do you think that when's the last time you saw a guy tear his Achilles and then come back that same year and be able to play on it?
Never seen it.
I've never seen it either.
Never seen it. Never.
But
seen
that's what they're talking about.
I have never seen anybody tear Achilles come back and play good. Period.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about with Cam Akers.
Yeah, I just don't see that happening.
Okay, so because I brought that up because you mentioned Derrick Henry coming back, and that's a foot thing. All right, so that could be big. But now the Rams are teasing Cam Akers.
Yeah, I just
so I want to see him do that. And now remember, folks, it's not like number one, you got to fight to come back in football form, as we used to say, playing shape. Because you can spin on that bike and run on a treadmill, but that's not like playing on the field. Yeah, it's totally different. And then another level that's different is when you put your foot in that ground and torque. That's weight and force on your foot and explosion at the same time.
Plus, you got to get used to the speed of the game again, too.
You got to use all that, man.
It's just too hard. But once you've torn that Achilles, I've never seen anybody come back that next year and play well.
Could it possibly be, as much as I like Sony Michel for the Rams, Sony Michel is
really well.
He is. But could it be that McVay is thinking, I've got to find another way to make this quarterback comfortable and take something off of him? Because when we get in the playoff, these interceptions aren't going to fly.
I don't know that it's that complicated. I just think I think it's just selfishness to him, to be honest with you, that I know I'm supposed to go and I just don't want that. I'm gonna throw it over here though. You like I said, that's a baseball bat problem. It just is. You need to have a come to Jesus with him.
A baseball problem. What does that mean?
Baseball bat over his head is what you need. It's you and that player behind closed doors, and it's not going to be nice. You got to get after him. And it's because what he's done, it's very selfish. When you predetermine things like that, instead of going through the discipline of what you've been coached to do, it's just, I've had too many guys like that. And they don't realize that all the names of the guys on that team are tattooed on that ball when you do those things, Man. And how it affects everybody else. And that's the first thing you have to appeal to a guy like that. These are things that are easily fixable with him. It's just a willingness to do that is the issue.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go through the rest of the AFC before we close out here. So Cincinnati, I agree. I agree to not agree that, if I'm going to talk about the best quarterback receiver combinations, I'm going to start up in Green Bay and work my way down. But this Jamar Chase guy, I was watching him run.
He's got some juice, doesn't he?
Yeah. And Mike, I don't know. Something strikes me with you as not being a huge video game player ever for whatever reason. But if you're an old Madden game player, that he looks like a guy who's got a 12 or 13 rating while everyone else has a 7 or 8 watching Chase run. I mean, he just ran away from Kansas City. It didn't even look real.
It's a play that should have been a 15-yard gain, and he turns it into a 70-yard touchdown. He pulled from that group, and those guys are all DBs. He just pulled away from everybody.
And usually guys hit that wall, but he didn't hit the wall.
Well, he's training right then. Whatever they're doing with him, he gets it there. He's training right. He's got the right mentality.
He's getting his rest. He's getting the nutrition, all that. So he's getting all that.
He's getting on the bike in the morning and doing all this cardio.
He's doing something right that, people love them nowadays. It's fashionable to go out and train with this guy, that guy, get in your group, film it, put it on social media, all that. It's cool. Got it. but somebody needs to get with him and find out what he's doing, because I haven't seen a rookie keep his motor up like that. And
I think you got to contact God first, because I think he was given a lot of that. This is who he is.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So, okay,
So
how far
good
can
are they?
how far
good are
can they go? They're gonna win the North, but yeah.
It's an interesting team to talk about. They're good enough to win it all.
Yeah.
To be in the to make it to the Super Bowl. Are they good enough to beat the Packers? I don't think so. But I think they're good enough to go through the AFC.
No, that's what I meant. Yeah, I mean, they've won the North, but they're good. They can win the AFC, and they can. And I would tell you, because you got teams like, okay, Kansas City. There's something that still bothers me about Kansas City, and I still, even though they're playing better, I don't know what it is.
Well, defensively, they're capable of giving up a lot of points in the back end. They just
Game.
Yeah, they're just not good enough.
Yeah,
and he's done a miraculous job moving the pieces around and covering up the problem issues that he has, the one-on-one things. He's tried to avoid that at all costs. He's really good at the matchups. I'm talking about the coordinator there at KC, Spagnuolo's. But
Spag.
I think overall they're a better team because they're really good on defense. I'm talking about Cincinnati. They're really good on defense. It's the most complete team they've ever had, I believe. The offensive line is pretty good. Of course, mixing the running back is good. So they're really a solid football team. Are they better than New England? Yeah, because of the deep ball threat and the explosiveness of their offense, probably. Are they better than Tennessee? That's the game you want to see, because Tennessee will grind them out.
Yeah, no, that is the one I want to see. Okay, how about the Chargers and Indianapolis? I didn't think Wentz looked very good, and maybe coming off COVID, maybe he wasn't 100%. But that was a weird game, and of course, the Raiders, very much like Dallas, the Raiders are a team that if you tell them they can't do something, they will do it. If you tell them they can't win this game, they will win that game. Now, here's their problem. The game at home, when all of the fanfare is out and they're expected to do something, this is the game they trip up. But I don't think so now, because this one is for all of the marbles, so to speak, on their side.
Yeah, the loser goes home. So
yeah, this
will be interesting. I want the Chargers to win this thing. I'm not sure that the Raiders are just overall a better team.
Right now, they have the energy, they have the sauce, they have the swag.
Defensively, they're much better than the Chargers. The Chargers up front are just not very good on defense. They're just not.
No, and they can't stop the run.
And that's the other thing, going back to the Rams for a moment. They don't have a middle linebacker in that defense that makes enough plays. Said that all along.
That's true.
As a reader, he just doesn't show up.
He's a product of what's in front of him.
Yeah, he just doesn't make enough plays. You put a great linebacker there and it changes that defense.
Yeah. Now Vegas can still get in with a loss. They'll need some help across the league, but they can still get in. For the Chargers. They're going home.
Yeah,
they're going home. So this will be interesting, and this thing could come down to multiple tiebreakers as well, Mike, because as of right now, the division record is the Chargers are one game up, but of course a loss now would even the division thing. So now you'd have to go to the next tiebreaker. Common games record, they don't have any stats on that one. Conference record, right now the Chargers are one game back from the Raiders.
Yeah,
in conference record. So the Raiders have a better conference record, but the Chargers have a better divisional record. So we could go to the final tiebreaker, which is a strength percentage of win-loss within the conference.
Yeah.
And I've never seen a tiebreak go that deep.
It doesn't matter. As long as it's not a tie in that game, that game doesn't finish in a tie.
Yeah, right. They were talking about ties, but that could get messy. Yeah.
That'll create a real issue for everybody. Yeah. But I just hope the Chargers win that one. I don't know that they can, unfortunately, but I hope they do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and can Indy do it? Can they do it?
No. I think Wentz where he is right now, he didn't play as well as he has the rest of the year. And maybe it's the effects of COVID. I don't know, but he will have to play a lot better. And they're really a good team, but you saw him miss that throw down that puts the game away.
Yeah. The one along the sideline, the wheel route. Yep.
Yeah, the wheel
route. That was it. No, that was it. That was bad.
You still
Can't miss it.
throws,
He missed a couple. He missed a couple.
But so did, Prescott, and so did Stafford, and this time of year those blemishes show up real big.
And you think Green Bay's coming out of the NFC, right?
I think Green Bay's the best team in the league, period. I don't know if anybody can beat them. When they muffle around against bad teams, they still win. But if they come out and they let them play, yeah, buddy, they're pretty good.
Yeah, they are. All right, Mike. Well, we're closing. Give me a quick John Madden story. I know we lost John this past week, and lots been said about John. But give me a quick Madden.
Well, you were in some of those meetings. I used to look forward to those broadcast production meetings. The day before the game. I always did when John was doing it, and we did it. He did a lot of our games. We were always on, Monday Night Football, and he I used to look forward to it. He'd come in and sit down, and we would talk for probably 20 or 30 minutes about Ernie Zampese, San Diego State. Because my era when I was playing in college is when he was coaching in college, and when I came up, I've got the Hancock Junior College annual. And it's got head coach John Madden, Ernie Zampese is the assistant, and they were at San Diego State together. And I mean, we were connected with so many different people, like a spider web. Hey, did you know this guy? Oh yeah. And so we would go through that for probably 20, 30 minutes, and everybody would get bored. They kept, but they wanted to talk about the game, but we didn't talk much about the game. We just kind of reminisce most of the time, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget my second game as a head coach. We're playing Seattle. And my wife had said, of course she wasn't there. She was watching the telecast, and he gave us a blessing. When John Madden gives you the blessing that you're a good team, and you guys, he doesn't do that very often. When he does it, it's quite a deal. Yeah. It is. It's very meaningful. And that's how big he was. And if he gave you the okay, man, you have made it, so to speak.
Boy, some great names just up and down the West Coast that knew John, and you guys all worked together at some point. I was just off the top of my head, I was thinking guys like Bill Walsh, Ted Tollner, Ernie Zampese, Sid Gilman, Dick Vermeil, John Robinson, yourself. The list goes on, and you didn't realize that all you guys were so heavily connected. And then you see the thread of why football and success with each one of you took place, because I think everyone was tied in at some point, out here.
It's very interesting because this whole Southern California deal in that era, there's so many coaches that came out there, really good coaches. The other thing is Dan Reeves. I just feel like we need to mention
and
Dan
that's
Reeves.
We do. Yeah, Dan Reeves passed
and unfortunately, he passed at the same time basically that John did, and so it kind of goes unnoticed to some extent. But he was another larger than life individual in the sport or coach in the sport. He was a wonderful man.
Absolutely. No, I remember my father talking about Dan, and I got a chance to interview Dan with in one of the 3 Super Bowls I did on the Madden crew. And of course, Dad and Dan played against each other, Green Bay, Dallas, the Ice Bowl. So they had a respect. And whenever I'd go to interview Dan, this could be in a room full of, producers and team execs and so on and so forth. That room can be a little intimidating if you're not used to it.
Yeah.
And Dan would always start off, said, "Hey, Ryan, how you doing? How's Dad doing? Blah, blah, blah." He'd spend 3 minutes, Mike, talking. He'd come up with an Elijah Pitts story. It's like, wow. But that's just the kind of classy guy that he was. So
he's a very engaging individual. Love to talk to him. He just made you feel comfortable. And I remember we played him. We lost our kicker on the kickoff to our hamstring, so we had to go for 2 all the time, and we ended up winning the game. And I talked to him after the game. I said, I really apologize. We just didn't have another kicker. You know, we beat him actually by quite a bit of points in. And
Yeah.
he said, Mike, if you could have scored 100, you should have. And then he laughed, you know, like, what'd he say, you know?
Yeah. Oh man. Well, we're gonna miss them, and we're gonna close out the show in their honor. And we're gonna throw one more person in there, Mike, that has nothing to do with football, but because she had such a beautiful personality and I loved her work and I'm a fan of hers, Betty White.
Oh,
Betty
yes,
White passed away, and we'd be remiss but not
Yeah.
talking about Betty White, because her
Well,
one-liners were just as good as Madden and anyone else out there, man. Let me tell you.
the deadpan comic, you know, nobody could pull it off better than she did. She was a treat to watch. You know?
Oh, God bless them all.
Yeah.
All right, brother. That's it, man. Great job as always. And we're going to be watching. This is going to be an interesting closeout. Week 18, a record-setting Week 18 NFL coming up. And then we're into the real stuff, the playoffs, as they say.
Yeah.
So, all right.
It'll be fun.
It'll be
Okay,
fun.
Ryan.
All right. Mike Martz, Ron Pitts, and our Emmy Award-winning producer, Roy Hamilton. We'll see you next week right here on Run It Again podcast.